Welcome to the official YouTube channel for the Colin Cowherd podcast. Go on, hit the subscribe button. There you go, right down there. You want to be among the first to hear my weekly takes, NFL, college football, more, right there. All right, here's another sports take. I've never said anything I don't believe, but I do believe in being theatrical. I am a performer, right?
That's exactly right.
And when I did the hat on backward stuff, I believed it. I keep bringing it up because I thought it was so obnoxious and funny, because we've all put our hat on backwards, cleaning the garage or hitting a golf ball. Like, we've all done it. But I leaned into it, but I truly believed it, that if you stand at the podium on Wednesday, that it does matter. You have the bank behind you, Citibank for the Baltimore Ravens. What you say and how you say it matters. It's why if a CEO goes on MSNBC and looks drunk or tired, the stock price goes down. Like, it matters. You're the face of the franchise. I'm going to make the argument that in the history of the league, Jalen Hurts is the single best podium quarterback I have ever seen. Go watch the tape last night. He is so insanely articulate, so succinct, so the word's almost manicured. I mean, I watched them. I'm like, I've never looked that good.
No, that's that. And by the way,
it's incredible. People make fun of me. He is so good at the podium. If I own the Eagles, I am like, that's my face of the franchise. He is so buttoned up, so on point, so giving,
so confident,
respectful.
I've
never seen, even Brady had days where he looked like a disheveled or
I've never seen. By the way, I totally agree with this.
Matters. It absolutely matters.
Oh, it matters for that position. It 100% matters. And it's so, Colin, this came up actually in the commercial break of our show today, because we played sound from Hurts and we played sound from Mahomes. And during one of the commercial breaks, Wild said, he was like, Mahomes is one of the only quarterbacks in the league that after this stretch for his team, when Mahomes was like, I believe in these receivers, we will get it right, where he was like, I totally believe him. Like that, what Mahomes believes he will fix this. And then with Hurts, every time Hurts talks, we're like, well, that was perfect. Perfect. And you one of your old bits that actually was used as an FS1 commercial was the quarterback face thing.
Yeah. That
the better looking kid gets more snaps, and then it leads to all these things, them being the quarterback. Him being good looking helps.
Matters. There's no question.
This goes back to the charisma thing I was saying about the movie stars. And if people think we're overstating it, the flip side is go watch Mac Jones at the podium.
Oh, my God.
It's not that he thinks
no confidence,
his team isn't good or whatever. He is questioning, am I any good?
Yes.
And it is oozing out of him. Just absolutely oozing out of him. So like Jalen, I didn't actually hear this take on your show today, because I didn't consume any of your show today except for the part I was on, because I was in mourning from my Chiefs. But I think Jalen, I don't want to say he's getting a pass this year because he's not playing poorly, so he doesn't need a pass. But Jalen, in my opinion, and maybe it's because his knee is hurt, despite the Eagles being 9-1, his play has taken a hit from where it was last season. And I truly believe one of the reasons, in a world where we criticize everyone, especially quarterbacks, there is almost no Jalen Hurts criticism, is because everyone respects him so much and looks at him and is like, oh, I believe in him. I believe in that kid.
I saw a video of him, and I tried to stay off X, but I saw a video of him with, I think, a date or a girlfriend. She was gorgeous. And I looked at him and I was like, that guy, he looked, if you told me, he's a CEO, tonight is a foundation dinner, he looked so professional. It was a date. And I got to tell you, and I've said this, there are certain people that are just better in front of people. And I know I got shit for years. It matters. That Carson Wentz hat on backwards, not good enough. It's not good enough.
So listen, I am glad you said the thing you said off the top, which is we say what we believe. And if we truly believe it, I shouldn't speak for you, for me.
Yeah.
I say what I believe. And if I am steadfast in that belief and it generates a reaction, I really lean into it.
Yeah.
If I am so in a total totally different than the Hurts thing or the hat on backwards thing, I know my opinion on Brock Purdy irritates people, but I believe it in the marrow of my bones.
Yeah.
So I talk about it probably more often than I would have to, because to me, it threads the needle of it's topical. Yes. I deeply believe it and it generates reaction. The thing, what I found so interesting about, not to rehash shit from 8 years ago, however long it was, but the blowback to your backwards hat thing, as you put it, is every single person to varying degrees agrees with you. Not on the specific necessary trigger of a backwards hat, but the point of, if you are the face of my franchise, running my company, the forward-facing guy, how you present yourself not only matters, but tells me about how much I can trust you. That is a universally accepted tenet of life. And whether or not people actually thought a backwards hat was actually these days, Colin, it's like a pinky ring. It's fine. Like, whatever. That wasn't the point. But there's a lot of...
Let me ask you this. If I was hiring, Logan Swain runs the volume. Logan retires or Logan moves on. Logan makes a great living from me. If you were interviewing for that job, which pays a lot of money, would you show up with a hat on backwards for the interview? So even if you push back on it, you know deep down.
That's what I'm saying. You know it is. So I don't actually even think the specifics matter, because the backwards hat could also be ripped jeans, or like in that instance, that specific instance of I'm showing up to a job interview, or like I thought personally that, so Cam Newton, I thought unfairly caught shit for his fashion sense. And the reason I thought it was unfair is he clearly put a lot of thought into it. Yeah. You can't, I'm not, like, Phillip Rivers wore a bolo tie, nobody cared. Cam's wearing a feather boa. You might say he's a little eccentric, whatever it is, but it wasn't haphazard or thrown together. The Carson Wentz stuff, it's like, oh, that seems haphazard.
Absolutely.
That seems...
It bothered me when I saw Carson Wentz once with a hat backwards. I'm like, you're mailing in. So you have no respect for the bank behind you, the owner, the coach. You are mailing it in. This isn't a duck hunting trip. Don't give me that.
And where you were, and where on the Wentz thing, again, I can't believe we're talking about this. This is funny. Like, ultimately vindicated, in my opinion, is that picture that he allowed to be taken of him practicing with the 4 different teams he's been on wearing.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you don't get it, buddy. Like, people see that. I think teams see that and they obviously know you played for those teams. But there is, to me, an instant reaction of, oh, what do all those teams have in common? They all had you in the building and couldn't wait to get you out of it.
Yeah.
And like that, and it's almost, and you don't get that is actually something working against you. You know what I mean? You don't understand that is a negative for you. Like, I do think, one of the things you used to say, maybe you still do, but you say all the time, and I'm going to butcher it, but that the shorthand version of it is there's get it guys and don't get it guys. I don't know what
I used to always say people that don't get it, they don't get it.
Exactly right. That's exactly right. And there are certain, I believe, things that have nothing to do with race, wealth, class, anything. It's purely, do you understand wherever you're at, the environment that you're in, and what that calls for? And are you able to, in those environments, adjust anything up to and including how loudly you speak? Do you or do you not curse? How you present yourself? Those things are, to me, very telling traits of people. And if I haven't I can't even imagine like being on a date, but because I've been married for so long, even though I'm actually getting married. If when you were first meeting someone and you happen to be like in an elevator with an elderly person. I know this sounds ridiculous, but just follow me. And they casually dropped like either talked something sexual or dropped an F-bomb with like an old lady standing there, I'd be like, oh, you don't get it. Yeah. Like, oh, you don't understand your environment. About there are just certain things, right or wrong, that just everybody who gets it knows, well, you don't do that. You don't what I mean? The first time you meet someone, comment on, there's just certain things. And I think that was the point I always believed you were making about the backwards hats, which became really a symbol for, are you going to represent me and my company the way I want you to represent me? And to circle back to Jalen Hurts, I think you said he's the best ever. He's certainly the best in the league. He's the best in the league. And I can't think of someone who was better at it. I think that is totally correct. Totally correct.
And by the way, maybe this is a bridge too far, but do you think it's coincidental that he understands time and place so well off field? He's also situationally not only one of the great chess pieces we've ever had at quarterback, he's a marvelous situational quarterback. He doesn't throw the prettiest ball. He's not the fastest.
No.
Situationally, he's brilliant. It transcends.
So what I think,
he gets it.
So what I am most impressed by Jalen is and I don't know about his high school career, but he ended up being the starting quarterback at Alabama, so I imagine he was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And that shit went left on him. Just flatly did. In really the most publicly embarrassing way possible. Whether he didn't seem to view it that way at the time, but a lot of people did. That like, oh, that was the worst. That's kind of the worst case scenario. You're at Alabama, you're the starting quarterback. They consider you kind of the weak link. You get benched, and then the guy who comes in throws the game-winning touchdown. It's like, oh, you're out? Like, that's kind of sucks. And maybe this is credit to the people around him. I don't know who's around him, or maybe it's just his own intuition. I don't know. He took all that information and had a lot of options. I can fight my way out of here. I can stay. I can quit. I can raise a stink. And I think, selflessly maybe for the team, but also selfish, not in a bad way, what was best for him was, no, I'll stay. I'll stay and show that I'm available. That's what's best for me in my career. And then after I do that, and I have now universal approval. Everyone is like, what? And he got to come on the field, if I remember correctly, and helped him out when Tua got hurt, did that stuff. Then he's like, all right, what's the smartest move next? Let me go play for someone that could accentuate that I can throw, because that's what everybody doubts.
Yep.
Okay, let me go do that. And then Once he does that and he gets his shot in the NFL, okay, what is the way for me to show these guys that I am valuable, the real deal, all of it? Well, one thing is, and again, I don't know him at all, so maybe I'm assigning things to him, but this is what happened as far as the timeline of it. Well, they had drafted a quarterback super high who they got rid of because everybody hated him, in part. There's other reasons. So let me be the ultimate guy, leader, forward-facing guy, and when it comes to how I play, my style will be, what do you need? What do you need? You want me to get beat up the way a quarterback really doesn't get beat up? You want to design a signature play that the strategy behind it is 17 of the 22 people on the field hit me from different angles? I will not complain. And guess what? It led to a second-round pick who got benched in college to having $250 million contract and the entire football world respecting it. So that's not coincidence, man. That is not it. And that is a level of forethought and intellect that we don't typically assign to athletes. Like, no, this wasn't happenstance or chance. Yeah. It was, Josh Allen, Mahomes. I happen to think Mahomes is actually incredibly, incredibly bright. I think Josh maybe gets in his own head too much. But those guys, their raw physical ability, as long as they were given a chance to just show it, it wasn't going to go super left on them at all. Even with Josh, he had 2 terrible years with not a lot of help, all those things. He was so physically gifted. He was going to be able to show it. There were 10 different forks in the road where Jalen Hurts never starts a single game at quarterback in the NFL. Never a single game. And he just kept choosing correctly. Yeah, I'm impressed by the kid. It's going to be so sad when the Chiefs beat him in the Super Bowl.
I find him so easy to root for.
Have you ever interviewed him?
I haven't. I always see myself as the judge, fans are the jury. The sports figures are the prosecuting attorney and the DA, right? Like, I'm the judge. I find it impossible not to root for Jalen Hurts. Impossible. You should send this. I would like, because here's the one thing. I don't think obviously not during the season. I would just, the more I think about it, I don't think I've seen a long form sit down in the world of podcasts and, where you can do these things. I don't know if I've seen a 45-minute conversation with Jalen Hurts. I'd be interested, you know what I mean? Just that's a guy I'd be interested in, because I would also be interested in those guys. I always wonder, my favorite question, it's a cliche question, I didn't come up with it, but what age did you know you were special? At what age were you not only could I, be a great athlete, but I can be a pro athlete? At what age, and how early were you trying to plan for this life? You know what I mean? Making decisions en route to it. Because he seems like a planner. He seems like someone that had it very meticulously laid out, because it wasn't going to be given to him, because physically and skill set wise, he's a tweener. Jalen Hurts is a tweener on a lot of these things. Yeah, he fell to the second just on size, stature.